So, do you know what topics we will going to cover in this training session? Okay.
Sure. Okay. So, do you have any idea about the Rails API only?
Rails API?
API related things.
Actually, till now Rails were component model, component views, DB migration.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
So in controller you must have written some APIs.
yes, the actions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the one you have written is the Rails application, normal Rails application.
Yes.
So there is one concept which is Rails only, API only Rails application, where you just write a API without views and all. Okay. So our today's agenda is to see how API only Rails app is built,
Yes.
how to write APIs using Rails API only app, then API versioning. So there will be multiple versions for same API. So as per requirements. So we'll show you with examples. Then there will be active model serializer. Yeah. So this will be help in responding the APIs. So responding data in APIs. So then there will be a API documentation. Then there will be some gems for authentication. So authenticating your Rails APIs. Okay. So let's start with API only app. So this is just same as you generally do Rails new and any application app. So in this API only app, we just provide namespace that is API. And here, if you see, there is a database specified, which is Postgres. If we don't specify database, it will take SQLite by default. Okay. So yeah, let's. Okay, we can start with the example. So let's create new Rails application with API for API only using Postgres SQL. Okay, when we enter this command, this will create new application. Okay, so it will be the same as your Rails application, but it will avoid some middlewares. Those are not required. Like this is only be used for API only. Like this will not have any views, any sessions, cookies. Okay.
So if you check the directory structure, so we have a same directory structure, like we have assets. Sorry, under the app we have a controller models, like then there is a nothing related to the views related file. I mean, or any helper, view helper. We have a view related point, but this is like for only mailer purpose, not for the other things. Okay, so because in this application we don't require any view related information, because already the view is on the like front end. We use either the React or the Angular or any other technology for that. So
So this is our Rails API application where you can see the directory structure. So we can see that there is no views. Like there is views, but those are for only mailers. Okay. So when we use API only app, so you can see that so your application controller will be inherited from action controller API instead of action controller base. So your regular Rails application will be inherited from base. So this is the difference, and there will be one plugin application.
.rb file.
Yeah, so that is API only true. So you can convert your regular Rails application to to Rails API only app by converting these changes, like make API only true in inside application.rb and update the application controller to inherit from API. Okay.
And
So
in a normal Rails app, we have a views also. So we required the assets related things. So in that case, also you can remove that. So if you see the Rails guide structure, so you can refer this for the,
further
the
analysis
detail.
on this.
So what kind of middlewares we are removing? I mean the Rails removes when we create the API only app.
So there will be some use cases where we need some middlewares like sessions, cookies, and we are using some libraries that are big. So it will be useful in that case. Okay. So now we have added one application. Okay, so we can just start with one example, regular example. So here we have created one users controller. So you know about the controller and its actions, right? So here we have just created one simple users controller. Inside that there is one index action. Okay. So and it is simply responding with all the users data. Okay. The same we can try it in Postman.
Postman.
Okay. So here you can see. So we have started our Rails application in 3002, and this is a pain point. So
Can we show the routes for the
yeah.
same?
So you also know about the routes, right?
Yes, routes.
Okay.
Before routing in, writing in the controller, we have to define the routes for that. So, okay, so do you have idea about the resources,
Yes,
users?
yes.
So, so if we check the routes, right now we'll focus on only the users related routes. So,
So the last 4 or 5 routes you can see about the users. Okay.
okay. So same we are using. We are calling from the Postman. So we'll get this information, user related information in data.
So if you see, this is currently this is a public URL. Anyone can hit that and get the data. But to avoid this, we have authentication. To solve this, we have to do authentication for the particular user. So we'll cover this in next some session. Okay.
Okay. So this is like the simple API. So okay, we'll focus on the versioning related part.
Okay. So this is the simple API. So here you have added all the data for the users. Okay. So suppose let's take an example. Suppose you have one mobile application plus there is one web application as well. So you need some different responses for both the application. Like web application will be needed some other fields, those are not required in mobile application. So some kind of situation we face. So in that case we use versioning. Okay. So we create APIs using versioning. So mobile app will be using another version, and web application will be using another version.
Or maybe there is a another example is there, like we have APIs which are used only on the mobile app, but we are supporting the different mobile versions also. I mean app version also. So some of the users are using the suppose 1 point some version and other one are using the 2 point. So we have to support that both the. So for that purpose, we have to maintain the version. I mean, we have to maintain the API,
So
the
app should
response.
not be crashed, right?
Yes.
So we have to maintain all the versions data. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So there are like two ways of doing the versioning. So one is like by storing the version number. So how could we define the, which API should be called and which controller action and all. So in that case, we will maintain the version number. So the first, the method is the first way is like the maintain the version number in the URL. The URL itself tell us about the which kind of version it is calling API version. And the second one is the like the accept. We can pass the version number in the headers. So first we will see the first. I mean, pass the version number in the URL itself.
Okay. So for this, so we are using one version is Gem. Okay. Version list.
Okay.
Right. So you can take this and you can also try it out. Okay. So this Gem support all these versioning things like inside a API we can do inside a route you can add a version number or you can add it in a header also. Okay. So we will take some example for those. Yeah.
Okay. So first we'll see the by storing the version number in the URL. So for that we have to define the routes. So earlier, so we have defined one controller. So in that, if you check, we only added the resources users. It's simply the class users controller, and the URL is like the our main path slash users only. Nothing there. So for versioning, we have to maintain the like this kind of namespace. So as it is API related thing, so we will maintain the API and version v1, and under that we'll define the all whatever we want the products user related information, right? If you check the routes, okay. So these are the routes slash API slash v1 users. Similar thing, we have defined another namespace for the v2 version. So it is like namespace v2 and same the resource products. And if you check the URL is like API slash v2 and the user. So from the URL itself, we can understand the which one will be get called. And similar to the as per the route path, we have to define the controller also. So let's go to the controller. So here, if you check under the controller, we have a API. We have created the API directory. Under that v1 and users. Okay. So module API v1, and under that we have a same user.all users, and we are sending the user response. So this is the earlier one, right? Localhost 3000 slash users, and for versioning maintain we have API v1 users is there. So
So if you see here, so there is difference in responses. So if you see first response, it is just we are just responding with data, and inside that there is users data. So there is array of users, and in another API response, you can see that there is data. Inside that there is users key, and inside that there is data. Yeah. So so in both the controllers, data is same, but the format is different. Okay. So same thing we can do in suppose your mobile application having one version which is showing first name and last name. Okay. But there is one feature which shows combined name. So for that we have to write another API. Like to maintain that in versioning, we will add it in separate version because we have to support earlier version as well. So for that case, we are basically using a versioning. So you understand about the version, right?
Yes.
Do you have any various questions here?
okay. So we have taken the another example for the v2. So so in the first one, like we only fetching the users information, and whatever we have a data we are passing in the response. So in the v2, so if you check the v1 version 1 related response, so you will get the all the information of the users and under the users key. So now the another requirement is like we want the users data along with that, we want count, users count also from the API. So for that, we have maintained the different version V2. So it is under the same app controller API, and under API we have a V2 directory, and we have created the users controller, same, right? So here we are passing the count information, so that we don't want in the V1. So this is how we call the V2 API. So if you check in the data, we have a users which has a array, and along with that count is there. And here we are sending only the user ID, name and email related, but not the date and all the information created at date, updated at, that we don't want. Okay, so this is V2. So this is the one way where we are doing the versioning using the URL.
So adding version inside a URL only. So there is another option which is sending version in inside a header, request header. So whenever we call any API, we send a version number inside a header. So that based on that header, API will the specific API will be called and data will be synced. Okay. Yeah. So for that, again we will have to add it in route file. Yeah, here you can see that now we have added one. So this is the syntax of adding it in header. So if you see versionist gem, you will see this format. So you can add it in there. So here we have added API version inside of v1 module. Okay, and accepting headers like name accept, and value will be uh, version 1. Here you can see version 1. Okay, and inside that we have added resource users. Okay,
And check the routes for the same. These are the routes.
okay, so if you see here, so routes are simple routes like slash users. So here we are not mentioning any version number or something. Okay, but here you can see that it is redirecting that API to this namespace v1 users. Okay, so
Okay, so
so we have added one controller for this as well. So inside view1 we have added one users controller. Okay, so you can see it here. Okay, so this will be called whenever we get any API call with the header as version 1. So this will be get called. So let's take an example for that. One, yeah, this one I think here.
yes.
So here if you see there is accept header. Yeah, this is the header, accept header. So whenever we add this header for any users API, it will get called, and we will get response from that API only. Okay. So this API will be get called, and so yeah, let's take. So here you can see data users, and inside users you have this data. So do you understand versioning now? Yes. And how to do that? Will you be able to do this in your project? Do practice.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to do a practice. Let us know if you are facing any queries. So like the version is it installed by default while creating?
No.
We'll have to add it in inside Gem. Like install
short command recognition.
No, no. If you are adding in your project, so you can add it in your gem file, gem and gem name, and then you can bundle install, so it will get installed in your application. Okay. So you can follow their documentation. So there you will get to know what are the steps for configuring those. Okay.
So like there are two methods of declaring your gem, like by URL or by request header.
So here you can change the version v2 or 2, 3, like that. So if you pass the 2, right now, mm,
I think it is taking response from last API which we have added. Because we
slash,
have added
we
normal
don't have a
single
v2.
API, we don't have any version. So
We
it
have only
is,
created
yeah.
the
Okay, so next point is
This is versioning. So let us know if you have any questions on that while you are implementing in your project. Okay. Okay. So then there is a active model serializer. So do you know about it? Have you read about it?
Actually, I have read serialization from Java.
Okay.
It is like this method of converting an object into byte and storing byte. While deserializing it when we create that object byte.
Okay.
That kind of.
Okay. So this is a again a separate concept like active model serializer. So this basically used for responding data to API responding. Okay. So suppose you have one user's API. Okay. So in this API, so okay. So this is one user's API where you are sending users data inside that. But there are some cases where we have to give only specific data. Like in this user, we have to just provide name and his ID. That's it. But if you see currently, we are getting all the data for this API. Okay, this one. Okay, so we are getting all the data which is not required in the client side. Okay, so we can minimize that data. So there are multiple ways to do this. We can just add JSON and pick the only required fields inside that. So that is one case, and then we can use active model serializer. So there also we can specify which fields should be go inside the API response. Okay. So we have added one example for add JSON. So here you can see. So we have just added ID and email inside the user response. So we can hit that API and see what response we get from them. Okay. So here you can see there is only ID and email. Okay. So and same thing we can do using serializer. So this will for this we have to add one gem, that is active model serializer. So by using this gem, we can add serializers in our application. So there is so after adding this, there will be one folder added inside app. So there is app serializers. Okay, and we can add add files inside that. So here we have added a namespace like API v1 users, because we have added namespace in controller as well. So we just have added a namespace where we have specified that this user serializer will be responding with these attributes like ID, email, name, mobile number. So see here, so we have used that serialized resource. So this method will serialize these number of objects by using this serializer. So we can provide serializer to that. Okay.
This is a custom method.
Yeah. Okay, you can see that method.
Okay. So like we have to use we have defined a serializer, user serializer, and we also have a data. But for that, and we are using the active model serializer. So every time we have to create one object, and we have to pass the resources is nothing but our data, and which serializer name also. So here we have defined the one method for, so in the base controller. So every time creating object and writing this code. So here the method will accept the resources is nothing but the data, serializer name, and there is a one root is there and some extra parameters if we want. Okay, so here if you check the controller, so in the controller, we directly call this method serialize resource. We pass the user's information, that is user.all, and we are given the serializer name, API v1 user serializer. Mm, So, so in the serializer, we have a ID email name. So we are expecting the same information in the response. So this is the earlier one. So let's quit the API. Now you can check. We have ID, email, name, and mobile number is there. So using the serializer, we can define what kind of data or attributes we want in the response. Even suppose if we have a association, I mean the suppose we have a user has many some post or something. So we can also define that in the serializer itself. Okay.
So like whichever attribute name to mention in serializer class is like to check the like same name should be present in resources like
In
Yes.
database.
Yes.
Yes.
okay, so it will match the name convention.
Correct. Correct.
Otherwise it, and you can define the custom method also. For example, in the user, if we have a birth date related information, we are storing only birth date, but we have to calculate the age every time we so you can write here also one method, and you can call that also.
You can use that here. You can just add it in. You can just add message here. You you will get this data inside your API. Okay. So do you understand serializer?
Yes.
When to use,
Yes.
how to use. Okay. So you can specify multiple serializer for same API. Maybe in versioning. Suppose you want some data in version 1 and some other extra data in another version, then you can also specify a different version for serializer as well. Okay. Yeah. So let's do that. API documentation.
So right now we have learned about the how to write the API, how to create the versions different, how to generate the different the response and the format. So we have to also maintain the documentation for that also, because the both the backend and front end developers are working on different steps. So we don't understand what kind of request parameters are there, what kind of response also. So otherwise, every time we have to connect with that person and communicate on that. What kind of information we require. So instead of that, we can always create a doc. So here the documentation. So for that we are using the one gem, so Aspect API documentation. So you have to add that gem in the gem file here. Aspect API documentation, and then you have to do the bundle install for that. So after that, so okay, so under the spec folder, so after creating that, we have to whatever the we are, it won't automatically get created. So you have to write some code so that, and you have to run that code also. So under the spec directory, we have to create the acceptance, and under that user spec is there. So okay. So this is, so currently we have added the API for the users listing related, and I have written the version v1 related doc, API v1 version. So and it is a get method. So you have to write the get and the path for that, and this is the the title for that, and you can generate this doc. So when we add the gem RSpec API documentation, then they have given one task. The rect task is there. So you have to run that raise docs colon generate. So
So this will generate docs for that those APIs. Okay. So so do you understand why do we need this documentation, API documentation?
Yes.
Can you explain?
Like if any member like enter into a project, that will help you to understand the project.
Okay.
And also it is really useful for logging. Because
No. Actually, when this will be useful, like suppose you are working on mobile application, okay, and I'm writing the APIs, okay, and you want one API, okay. So this is suppose I have added one API, okay, and I have asked you to implement that. So how do you get to know that what should be the request parameter, what should be response? So every time you have to come to me and ask what should be, and this is not working, right? So for this, we can just write one API documentation where we can mention that this should be request parameters and the response parameter will be something like this. So by using that doc, you can just implement it in your mobile application, right? So you don't have to come to me to check what request parameters needs to be added and all, right?
And if new developers are also working on that project, then they can also get the idea what kind of APIs we have and their format also using the document.
So once we run that command, so first we have to write the expectation, like what should be the request type, like get. So this is get means this is a get request, and this is the endpoint. So this is your endpoint URL. Okay. So to make this work, we again have to add the required data. Like suppose you are using it for users, so there must be some users data. Then only it will show the response body, right? So this is the expected. So we have created some users here. So so these users will be the response of this API. Okay. So if you see it here, so we have just added for users. So so this will be the format for API documentation. Once you run that command, it will generate this API documentation, and whichever whatever you have added in that acceptance, it will show it here.
So when we generate that, I mean, call that command rails docs colon generate, then the docs will get created automatically, and under that we have a API and index.html file. So you can open that file and check the here. So if you click on this, so here you will get the idea. The get request, this is the API v1 uses endpoint. What kind of headers we require for this API. Here you can check the route, same, and the response also. Response status, response body is there. So here you can check the 3 users are there and the information.
Yeah. We also mention headers in that acceptance letter, like here. So these are expected errors while you anyone call that this API. So we have mentioned this is also here, and we have added 3 users. That's why we are getting 3 user data here. This is sample. Okay. So this way you can add multiple API documents by adding the acceptance. Okay.
So if you check this endpoint is for the uh, user detail or the user show API. So for that we need the user ID. I mean, what uh, users information that we want to send. So you can define it as a required. I mean, if you check the earlier one in the listing one, we don't have any parameters. I mean, which is not required. So we are not passing. But for this API, we want the parameters and which is like ID and required field. So we can define this like, so you have to define this as a parameter. It's I you have to define the actual ID and what required as a true. If not, then you can define it as a false also, or you don't have to mention that also. And you have to pass the ID for that.
Okay.
Okay. This is what we have we have written the API documentation. Mm.
So that user dot spec file we have to write it also.
Yes.
Yes.
We have to write it. So you will get to know when you see that aspect API document.
Hmm.
Visit that gem and see that they have proper documentation how to write the acceptance. Okay. And there is another gem, that is API DOM. You can also visit that. So it is to format your document. So it is just for formatting.
Because currently the documentation is like simple. I mean, the HTML page is there,
Yes.
simple UI is there.
So API DOM uses Bootstrap. So your UI will be better than this. you can check that also. So do you have any question on this? Okay. Okay. So now we have used API without, so all the APIs which we have used are public APIs. So anyone can hit that API and get the response, right? But this is not the correct case. So our APIs should be authenticated. Like no one should access our APIs except they have any they are authenticated. Okay. So to authenticate user, so we have multiple options, like we can use device. Yeah, so device so there are multiple gems like device or token, JWT. So based on our requirement, we have to pick any of them.
Okay, so first we'll check with the device token of gem. So we have added the gem in the gem file. After adding the gem, to do the bundle install, and okay, after that,
Okay, so
so
so first we have to add the that gem, that is device token not. Okay, so once you add that token, that gem, we'll have to add bundle install. Okay, so this is basic step. Whenever we add any gem, we will have to add do bundle install. Okay, once that is done, so then we have to specify like how to authenticate our application or maybe our APIs. Okay. So for that we have to mention the model, like how to authenticate, like
okay, like in some of the applications, there is a authentication means what the user, actual end user is there. So yeah, some of can use the user table for that. Some of have admin, only admin users. I mean, so we can define that. So whatever we define the models. I mean, you know about the models, and we created the right. So we can define here. So there is a one command provided by the device gem it's a generator command. So rail generate device token auth install. So you have to mention the model. Suppose in our application we are using the user as a table or the model. Suppose if we have a admin, then we can use that. And the mount path, I mean mount path is nothing but the the routes. So so device will provide the all the routes controllers also for the authentication part, like sign in, sign out related things, or forget password. All these they are providing us. So just we have to maintain the what kind of path we want. I mean slash auth or something like that. So whenever we hit this command, then there is a one configuration file gets created. So the configuration file is device token.rb under the config folder under the initializers.rb file. So let's go to the config initializers, and so in this file, you can add the all the information. I mean, for what the time span for that token. I mean, the session of that user, how long it will maintain the session. Like for 2 hours, 4 hours, like 14 days, 15 days. So once the user logs in, he can maintain his session or till like 2 weeks or for 2 hours also, like that. And
so basically these gems supports clearing so clearing your session, so we can maintain our session. uh, s- uh, so we can configure our session time. Like, so and also we can provide So basically, this gem provide one option that is clear your token after every request. So basically, first initially it is false, but whenever you enable it, so it will refresh your token on every request. So so you hit if you hit any API, so in that API it will refresh your token, and so yeah, that's the configurable. So you can configure it, and
Okay, so using this command, we have get the configuration file. Another is the automatic model will get created. I mean, here we have defined the model. I mean, while uh, when we use this generator command, we have used the user as a model here. So the user model gets created like this. So class user active record base and all the device related modules or the methods are available, like authentication related part. Registrable is like for sign up related things. Recoverable like password recovery related, reset password and all these. So this is the device is providing, and along with that there is a routes. So the device is providing the all the sign in sound sign out related actions are there. So if you check the route file, so in the route this is the predefined method given by the device. Mount device token auth for and the user, because we have provided the model as a user, that's why, and the path as a auth, that's why. Let's check the routes.
so by default, this will provide all the routes like sign in, sign out, change the password, update the password, sign up, all the registration related APIs. So this will provide all that those API, and we can use those. So this is added by default from by that gem which we have added in our application.
So we don't need to write the API for that. It is already given by the device Gem. So simply we can use this path, I mean the slash auth slash sign in, and we can call this from the front end. I mean,
Yeah, we can check that by using Postman.
yes. So this is the path slash auth sign in. And of course this is for sign in we need the username and the password thing, so it's a post request, and so we have provided this. Okay, so
Okay, in this response you can see the data like email, password, UID.
it,
Okay, so here you are not seeing.
okay, so so whenever we call this sign in API, so we every time we hit this API, so we will get the token for that. So we didn't get this token in the body, I mean in the response body. We always get this information in the headers. So if you check this is the response headers, right? And on the top these are the request
Request
headers.
headers.
So in the response header we have a access token, then there is a client which is given by the device. Content type, okay,
There will be UID.
this is expiry. The UID is the, like a unique identifier ID is there. So which is our the username. I mean whatever email is there or any other.
Okay. So basically, this is providing the, token inside headers instead of body. Okay. So whenever we want to use this header inside next any API, we will have to provide these headers inside the API, next APIs, any API, like we are using users API, right? So when if we want to authenticate this, then we will have to add those inside our headers like content type, then client UID. So these are required parameters. So if we don't provide those, it will be giving us error, that invalid errors.
So this is, so if we provide the, so I mean this is the custom method that we have written.
Okay. So we have provided all the headers. That's why we are getting data. So if we don't provide anyone from them, so it will raise a error that it is invalid request, or maybe some invalid headers. So it is currently giving invalid headers because we have handled this by writing one custom method.
This
So here we have added one before action, that is validate header. So, and you can see this authenticate user. This is method, built-in method provided by that gem, device or token. So this method is checking all the headers. So this method will authenticate all your headers. So inside header, there must be a client, there must be a token, UID, all these. So it will check all those headers, and if it is not present, then it will return with unauthorized response. So it will not authorize that API and will not respond with the data. Okay. So these are required parameter whenever we call any API. Okay. So, and we have added one before action. That this is our custom method where we are checking checking manually some headers. If those are not present, we are sending some custom errors from here. So we can do that. So, okay.
So this base controller we are written.
Yeah, this we have written. This wait
This
control.
is a, this is also the custom controller that we have written, because if you check the by default we get, only will get the only one controller, application controller, and in case of the Rails API only app, the application controller gets inherited from the action controller or
Base.
API. So so if we for all the API related things, I mean the controllers.
So same thing we have written in base. We can move this to application also. Yeah. So we just move out some things from application to base controller. Okay.
Which are like common, like every for every API we need to validate the headers, authenticate the user, also we have to return the response, both in both cases, like in success also and in the error also. So we have written the common method. So every time we don't want to write the code, render JSON data and all that message status related information. So, and if you check the users controller, so in the users controller, the this is inherited from the base, not from the application controller.
And here we have used render success. So this is one custom method we have written, which is accepting data and other parameters, like here. Here you can see. So it is accepting data, message, and status. Yes. So and we are rendering it from here, like render JSON data, message, and status.
Okay, so device will provide us the this predefined method authenticate user also, and also there is a one current underscore user also. So whenever we call any API, so we can get the current user, I mean whichever is the login for that.
Which is again based on the request headers. So whatever we are getting in request header, based on that we will get the current user, like so which user is accessing that API. So at that time we can get a current user. Okay.
So this is simply we are checking the sign-in related part. I mean,
So this is providing other APIs also like sign up, like forget password and other things. So you can explore those and let us know if you are having any queries on that. So I
so
have also shared the document with you. So also added in PPT, so you can see that.
so you can go through this doc and
Yes.
you will get the idea of what kind of features or the device has providing.
So we forgot to mention that. So where, earlier we have mentioned that this is Rails only API only Rails app. So it is avoiding all the middlewares, right? So sessions and all. And we are using one device token, so which is again maintaining a session for the current user. So for that we will have to add middleware, that is sessions. We should store session for the current user, right? So to enable that, we have added that middleware inside our application.rp. So you can see that here.
Because in normal Rails app, it is already there. We don't need to add it explicitly. But
As this is a API only app, it will initially it don't add all such middlewares which are not required.
so as per our requirement, we have to add that. So this is the one way of doing the authentication using the device token auth gem.
So there are another ways also, like you can use JWT token. So JWT is basically a JSON web token. Okay. So this is also providing us the authentication methods, like uh, it will generate a token based on current user. So yeah, you can show it here. So
So internally, JWT uses the algorithm HS256. So whenever it creates the token, so it is always in the encoding encrypted format. And suppose if you want to validate the token, then it will decrypt that. So whenever we create the token, so we have to pass the which algorithm you want to use for encryption and decryption, then the type, and you can so maintain the payload also. I mean, so this is the user related information like name, uh, some ID or some other field also. We can also maintain the role in the payload, and using the combination of the header and payload, we can generate the token. So when we decrypt that, I mean, this is the token that we are getting from this JWT. So whenever we try to decrypt, we always get this information. So if someone tries to use this token in the API, so and we can check that. I mean, we are validating this using the decode. I mean, we decrypt this token and we'll try to get the what kind of payload we want. I mean, we are expecting ID, name, and some role related information or this. And if we didn't get the information, I mean, this token is like invalid or some something is wrong in that token.
so basically we are generating one token. Okay, so let's take an example. So you are a user, so you want to authenticate your. So basically our application is authenticating you. So whenever you log in, so application will provide you one token. So that token will be generated by JWT. So JWT have their algorithm, like, so to encode your payload. So payload can be anything, like your personal detail like ID, email. Okay, so by using that payload, so payload and the algorithm, that is just 256, which is it is using. So based on that, it is encoding your payload by by using that token. So once it encode that, it will be token something like this. So after you log in, this token will be shared with you, the client which is uh, taking which is calling the API. Okay, so once you get that token, so you will use this token for further requests, like next set of requests. Once you log in, you can visit any user's page or post page. So at that time, you will have to provide that token inside headers again. So for next set of request, uh, our application will be validating that token. So you will have to provide that in request headers, and then again our application will check those header and validate that if it is valid or not. So it will be validating that by decoding that token. So it will decode that and see if it is valid or not. Yeah. So it is same as your device token on, but it is just it doesn't provide any built-in APIs like sign in, sign up. So we'll have to write those APIs. Okay.
So for this also you can use the gem. That there is a gem JWT is there, so
Yeah.
you can use that.
So you can use any of them based on your requirement. Like suppose you want built-in methods like sign in, sign up, forget password. So you can go with the device
Device
token on,
token.
because you are getting all the APIs inbuilt. You don't have to worry about writing those APIs and handling all the things. So it will handle for you. Okay.
You
And
can
in another case, you can use JWT when you just want the authentication. You don't want any other things like sign in, sign up, and okay.
you can do this, but you have to write your own code for that. I mean,
Yeah.
every time. So it's a better if you want all these feature, then you can use the existing gem. I mean, no need to write all the stuff.
Okay. So you can dig down into this and check if you need any help in here. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. Bye.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay.
The recording has stopped. This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, that's it. So thank you. Let us know if you have any questions on this.